What is the ideal height for mowing my grass? What is going on with my crabapple tree? Can I still use the seed that I purchased last summer? I've got answers to these questions and more coming up on Garden Sense. Hey everybody, I'm Tim Ward and welcome back to Garden Sense. Well, folks, it is June, which means it's time to start thinking about fertilizing our lawn and giving it its second feeding of turf trust. We've also had some emails this past week dealing with diseases and looking at stressed lawns. So folks, make sure that you stay on top of that lawn calendar. You'll be really glad that you did. Now, we did pick 4 questions for this week's video podcast, so buckle up everybody. Let's jump right in. The first question is from John. Hi Tim, would you be able to tell me the ideal mowed grass height for fescue lawns based upon the time of year? So in the very early spring, 2.5 to 3 inches is just fine. But ideally, once we get into summer, you really want to make sure that you are maintaining a height of 3 to 4 inches. And you're going to ride that out all the way into the early fall. Now, once fall hits, if you want to back it down and keep it at that 3-inch level, you're going to be just fine. But what's really important is to make sure that you cut it down to between 2 and 2.5 inches just before the first frost. So again, keep it at 2.5 to 3 inches in the early spring, then bring it up to 3 to 4 inches for the summer and into early fall. Drop it back down to 3 inches again in that mid-fall, and then as temperatures really start to dip and we're getting close to that first frost, you want to cut that back to 2.5 inches as we head into the winter season. The next question is from Joe. Tim, I live in the Piedmont area of Northern Virginia. My wooded yard is infested with wild violets. I have used Weed Beater Ultra spray bottle application 4 times, last spring, summer, fall, and again 3 weeks ago. There has been no obvious change in the amount of wild violets in the yard. Any advice? So I'm a little surprised you're having issues killing off your wild violets while using Weed Beater Ultra. And I only bring that up because I've personally used it for killing wild violets and I found it to be really effective. But obviously we live in 2 different parts of the country, and again, you're facing a little bit different area in terms of what you're trying to spray versus me. My wild violets were in my grass. It gets a lot of sun, a lot easier to identify, a lot easier to kill. It sounds like yours is a little bit heavier wooded area in terms of where you're trying to spray. So you have 2 options, frankly. With Weed Beater Ultra, you can make a second application 30 days after you make the first one. So you said you did it about 3 weeks ago. I would actually look to put down a second application before you completely give up on it. And when you do, make sure that you put it down at the maximum application rate. With a lot of these products, they'll give you a range in terms of how much to apply. You know, for example, it might be 1.5 to 2.5 ounces per 1,000 square feet or something like that. So use whatever the higher number is, again, to make sure that you're putting down the maximum allowable chemical to try and kill off these weeds. Your second option, ideally, would be to just try a different product. Now, I'll be honest with you, because I'm surprised that Weed Beater Ultra isn't working, I'm not really sure of too many chemicals out there that would work better than that. But one that you may want to consider would be Fertilome's Weed Free Zone. This is, again, a very effective product, but I'll be honest with you, it's very similar to Bonide's Weed Beater Ultra. But again, it is a different product, so maybe go out there and give that a shot and see if you have more success. Question number 3 is from Doug. Hi Tim. Last summer I purchased some of your Barren Brew grass seed to fill in some bald spots on my lawn and to overseed. I procrastinated and didn't get it done, but will try again this fall. Will the seed still be good, or should I just go ahead and purchase new seed? So I'm going to need to make some assumptions when answering this question because I didn't get a ton of information from you in terms of your email. And the assumptions are all based on how it was stored. If the grass seed was not opened and it was properly stored in a cool, dry place, then chances are it's just fine, and I would actually go ahead and use it. Now, even when it's stored properly, there's still a very, very high probability that your germination rate has dropped down to 90%, maybe even 80%, given the duration of time. However, again, if it was stored in ideal conditions, it may be just fine, and you're still going to get that really high germination rate that is really associated with Barenbrug seed. If that's not something that you want to mess with, and if you're going to invest the time and effort into overseeding your grass this fall, and you want to really make sure that it works, then again, you may need to head over to Rosen's Online and just pick up some more Barenbrug seed. I know, again, it's a higher end seed. I know that it can be a little bit costly. So again, I understand that you have two options here, but without knowing exactly how it was stored, I can't give you the best recommendation. I know from my own experience that if I've stored it properly, I would have no issues using it. So again, if you are looking to purchase more seed, head over to rosensonline.com. We've got plenty of it. Good luck. The final question for today is from James. Tim, what's this on my crabapple tree, and is it harmful? If so, what can be done to get rid of it? So this is actually not a fungus, believe it or not. These are insects called woolly aphids. Now, woolly aphids are very, very small, but when they congregate on, in this case, a crabapple tree, what happens is they actually start to look like little cotton balls have been stuck to the branches of your tree. And that's exactly what you have here. Now, the good news is woolly aphids really don't do any damage to the tree, so there's really no issues there. However, they are a little bit unsightly, and so I completely understand the need and desire to get rid of them. So how do we get rid of them? Well, frankly, the easiest way to get rid of them, and I'll be honest with you, it's not necessarily easy at all, is to manually try to remove them. So what you can do actually is get a high pressure hose and actually try to use a strong jet of water to essentially knock them off of your tree. Again, that can be time consuming, and I'll be honest with you, it also doesn't always work depending on how strong the jet of water is. Now, another option you could have is to get some type of a brush. I've seen people use toothbrushes to do this and literally just try and scrape them off of the tree. It's tedious, it's time consuming, but it works. Just make sure you are not using something like a wire brush or anything that's too hard, because again, that could actually damage the tree, and we certainly don't want to do that. Now, from a chemical perspective, you could try BioAdvance 3-in-1. It does kill aphids. However, woolly aphids are a little bit different, and they're a little bit tougher to kill. It doesn't specifically mention woolly aphids on the label, so I can't say with certainty that using BioAdvance 3-in-1 will take care of the problem, but there's a high probability that it will. However, if it was me, I would first try to blow them off with a hose, or maybe kind of scrub them off with a brush where the bristles are not too hard, and if that doesn't work, then spray it down with the BioAdvance 3-in-1. So good luck, let us know how it goes. All right, folks, just a couple final thoughts here before we sign off here on this video podcast. Folks, it is June, which means things like lawn disease, insects, which we've already talked a little bit about today, can really become an issue. So make sure you head over to rosensonline.com and browse the selection of products that we have to offer. We have a lot of products that will take care of lawn disease. We have a lot of products that you can use on your grass as well as your plants to fight off things like insects. So again, head over to rosensonline.com and check out the selection that we have going on right now. Folks, it's June, which means it's time for your lawn's second feeding of Turf Trust. Fortunately for you, we do have our annual summer stock up special going on over right now at rosensonline.com. Folks, these are 3-bag bundles of Turf Trust. It can be the starter formula or the lawn maintenance fertilizer. It can be the 10M or the 5M in terms of sizes. And again, there's a price break on the product itself, and it qualifies for free shipping. Folks, there is no better deal that you are gonna see on Turf Trust products than going on right now. So head over to rosensonline.com and order what you need. You'll be really glad you did. And trust me, right now, your lawn is hungry for what Turf Trust has to offer. Folks, as always, if you have questions, please send an email directly to me, tim@rosensonline.com. I am always happy to help, and this time of year, we always get some really fun and interesting emails from you folks. So I'm frankly really looking forward to the types of emails that I'm going to get here during the month of June. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. It really does mean a lot to all of us here at Rosens Online, and obviously everyone involved with Garden Sense. I hope you folks have an amazing rest of the week. God bless.